This is Creola Katherine Johnson. Now look, you might have seen the movies or heard the name, but I'm gonna give you the straight dope on what this woman actually did. We aren't talking about someone who just sat in a room and did some homework. We're talking about the person who basically held the steering wheel for every major rocket we ever sent up when NASA was just getting its legs. She started out back in 1953 at a place called Langley. Back then, it wasn't even called NASA yet, it was NACA. And like I told you before about others, she was hired as a computer. No, not the thing with the screen and the keyboard. She was the computer. Her job was to look at raw numbers from flight tests and turn them into math that made sense. She was in a group of black women who were tucked away in a separate office, but she didn't stay tucked away for long. She was too good. She started asking questions, and she didn't stop until she was in the room where the big decisions were being made. Let's talk about the first big win, Alan Shepard. In 1961, he was the first American we ever put into space. That sounds easy now, but back then, we didn't know if the rocket would just blow up or if he'd get lost in the stars. Katherine was the one who did the trajectory analysis. That's just a fancy way of saying she drew the map. She calculated exactly where that rocket had to go and exactly where it was going to land. If her math was off by an inch, Shepard doesn't come home. It's that simple. Then came 1962, the big one with John Glenn. He was going to be the first American to actually orbit the Earth. By this time, NASA started using those giant electronic computers, those room-sized machines that hum and blink. But here's the thing, those machines were brand new, and nobody really trusted them yet. Glenn himself, the guy sitting on top of a giant tank of fuel, said he wouldn't go unless Katherine checked the numbers. He literally told the engineers, if she says they're good, then I'm ready to go. A world-class pilot trusted a woman with a pencil more than $1 million machine. She spent a day and a half rerunning all the math by hand. She said the computer was right, he went up, and he came back safe. But she didn't stop at just orbiting the Earth. She was one of the brains behind the moon landing. For Apollo 11, she did the calculations that linked the lunar module, the little ship that landed on the moon, with the command service module that was circling around waiting for them. It's like trying to hit a moving target while you're standing on a merry-go-round. She made the math work so Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin could actually get off the moon and get back to the ship. Without her, they're still up there. And when things went sideways on Apollo 13, the Houston We Have a Problem mission, Katherine was part of the team that worked the emergency return. When the ship broke, they didn't have their fancy navigation systems. They had to use the stars and a watch. She helped figure out the backup procedures that got those 3 men back to Earth alive. Over her career, she didn't just do math. She wrote the book on it. She co-authored 26 research reports. In a time when women, especially black women, weren't even supposed to have their names on the front of a paper, she was putting out the data that the whole space industry was built on. She worked on the space shuttle program, she worked on plans for Mars, and she worked on satellites that help us see the Earth from above. Her historical impact isn't just about the rockets, though. It's about the fact that she proved the math doesn't care who you are or what you look like. She was a pioneer who walked into rooms where she wasn't invited and became the most important person in the building because she was the only one who could get the numbers right. In 2015, the president gave her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest honor a regular person can get in this country. And they didn't give it to her because she was nice, they gave it to her because she was essential. She was the one who calculated the path to the stars when we were all still figuring out how to get off the ground. So, when you think about the moon landing or the heroes in the silver suits, you gotta remember Katherine Johnson. She wasn't just a hidden figure, she was the one holding the map. She was the math that got us there, and the math that brought us home. That's the fact of the matter. No bells, no whistles, just a woman with a pencil who conquered the sky.
For this is the end.